Get heat pumped up. I don't want you to ever forget that phrase, which is why we trademarked that for Bradford White in my first year being here at Bradford White. So never forget the fact that we want to be able to get the market changed by getting folks heat pumped up. And if you don't know me and you don't have my contact information, take a quick shot off of this screen. You've got it right there. And yes, I even updated my photo before I did this, just so that everybody could see, the new addition there. So glad to be able to be here. What you're seeing right now is a very happy Greg Holiday at the AHR booth, where I spent 2 days, 2.5 days standing right there. I probably could have just spent the night because there was such a good crowd around me the whole time, having fun with the anticipated release of the G2 model. The G2 model, drastically different as you're going to see here in this picture. Still, though, some common things that we did not change. The top connections, as you know, the manufacturer that's had top connections the entire time in this industry. It's the fastest, easiest way to put a water heater in. When you got water heaters that have top connections already on them that you're taking out, you slide this in. But you see some subtle changes. Look at there on the top. Top venting. What does that mean? That means it'll fit in that tighter space, but it also means you can move the air easily without having to add any type of a vent kit. We've had a vent kit in the past, and it added a whole lot of depth to the back of it, which made it a little more difficult to put in. This is going to be fast. This is going to be easy. And even the filter system that you see there, I pulled it out at the show just to demonstrate.
Text him. Say, well done. We're driving. Dad's driving.
I'm sorry. Am I hearing somebody else out there? There we go. Making it very quick and easy to clean when it's needed. Simply pull that out, take it over to the sink, wash it, shake it, put it right back in again. But the best part is being able to directly connect your ductwork, having it simple if you're going to duct it. Now, heat pump water heaters, as we all know, are not often ducted, but when they are, having your stuff at the top of the heater is going to make that very fast and very easy to be able to make that transition. So here's the money shot you guys have been waiting for. This is a new quality innovation product. This is drastically different in how we tweaked several things over the past 8 years of deciding what did we want to do? How did we want to make this product and improve it? And now you're seeing that with our 4.10 UEF. 4.10, 3.88 on our 50, 4.10 on the 65, and 4.0 on the 80. That old adage of now you give $4 in hot water for every $1 you spend to heat water. It makes this message very, very simple. We want to keep this simple. We want to keep it common sense, and we want it to be easy. Contractors shouldn't be overwhelmed. Homeowners shouldn't be overwhelmed with all the decisions that you can make on anything electronic, but a heat pump water heater should be something very intuitive and very easy for somebody to walk up to and use. Now, we still are going to be the only manufacturer with this product that builds a heat pump water heater in America. And you're going to see that little tiny picture may be bigger on your screen than it is mine right now. The American flag on the front of this water heater. Having that on our box is going to be very, very important, especially in today's climate. And as manufacturing continues to be increasing in the United States, then having an American-made product means something to homeowners. It means something to contractors as well. We've updated this with our new Icon HD and Bradford White Wave technology that's built into this. This is an exclusive, easy-to-use interface with a color display and a remote control that will allow a contractor to be able to remotely look into this water heater for troubleshooting before ever going out to the house. Now, this is a philosophy that we have always had at Bradford White, that contractors will never get really good at servicing a heat pump water heater because they're so reliable. We're 15, almost 16 years in the market now with this being open, and a lot of history of how these things work and what the service side of this looks like. And the good news is that a lot of contractors never have to even touch one for service for 8, 9 months after they've been installing them. They might finally see something that they have to go out for. And with Bradford White, we're the only company that can do this with this water heater and all of our products. 24/7 technical assistance, which means we never close. So we ask the contractor to call us on this when a fault code shows up, get the model and serial number, and we're able to easily walk him through the troubleshooting before he goes out. Why would we do that? Because our goal is one service call resolution. If a contractor has a problem with a fan and it's not running as fast as it should, we can tell that with fault codes on the display. No need for him to go out. If it's switched from heat pump to resistance heat, that way he can automatically call us. We send him the part directly. We walk him through the repair, and we make it very simple for him to satisfy that homeowner and do it in the most cost-effective way. So being able to see that, that is an ace in the hole. And remember, we only cover 50% of that market because we only sell through wholesale to professional plumbers for professional installation. So this becomes very important in our relationship with contractors. We're the only heat pump water heater with this one as well that has microban antimicrobial finish in the tank. This California company that developed this microban coating is used on virtually everything that you see out there. Doorknobs. Shea Holmes puts in all doorknobs with microban coating in California because of COVID and the attention that it drew to this. Dishwashers now, as I understand it, have microban coating. Front load washing machines. Well, the inside of this, it's infused into our Vitriglass tank lining, which is the best tank lining that you're going to find on any water heater that is out there. So this is a real plus for us. We also have the only multilingual display. Wow, I didn't see that one coming. That was a surprise even to me. This water heater is in French, English, and Spanish. Imagine a Hispanic installer being able to change the language on the display so that all of his crew can read and understand, program, do whatever they need to do to show the homeowner how to change the controls on the water heater. So that's a first in this industry from what I'm seeing. We also have the top venting, which I mentioned earlier, with the filter that's going to make this very, very easy to clean. And our 24/7 technical assistance is going to make this water heater a mainstay in this industry now as we introduce that this summer. So I am so thrilled to be able to see this out there and to know that this is going to just, again, captivate our contractors. The rest of the specs are here. All of the dimensional information pieces are on this. I can put this spec sheet, this sell sheet in the chat. I believe I can add that to it or a link to it. And that way you guys can all have copy of this as well. You see what I'm going to be taking here behind me when I go on the road. And next week, if you happen to be at the HVAC Excellence Conference in Las Vegas, I'll be there presenting, and I will have the actual unit that was at the AHR show right there for people to kick the tires, touch it, and see it, and be able to do what they want to do with it. So I'm just thrilled again to be able to put this product out there. And let me see, I think that's, oh, how did that slide get in there? Market transformation. That is the message. That is the message of a heat pump water heater. It's about taking something old, an old standard electric style water heater, and making it something new, but bringing the best parts of that water heater with it. It's about taking the components from a refrigerator that says, we don't actually make food cold, we make it less warm by extracting heat, and putting those two technologies together. Well, you see a 1951 Farmall Cub here that I bought and paid $200 for, which turned out to be about $199 too much. And I turned it into that transformed product in honor of my father, who worked at this plant in Louisville, Kentucky for over 25 years. This is what's going to grab people's attention, being able to see a technology that they clearly understand and they can believe in when we equate it to those two products. Questions?
That's great, Greg. Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll do a couple questions for Greg, and then we'll invite our other two panelists to come on as well. So Greg, could you talk to us a little bit, with Bradford White being one of the leading manufacturers for, as far as back as heat pump water heaters go, what kind of went into the decision to make these updates for this new G2 Aerotherm?
Well, we are a growing company, and when I see the development that we made at our plant just in a technology center from the day I came in, it was under construction already, and now it is fully staffed with the best of the engineers that we could find all around this country to bring in to go through that development phase. We wanted to be best in class since we only serve half, again, of the water heater market, not retail, but wholesale only. Our contractors expect us to give them the very best. So it took us a little while, but we got there.
Nice. And what, if you, we had this question at the beginning of the session. What would be your kind of top items that this new Bradford? How does it move the market forward? How does it address some of the challenges? I know you've been talking to us about that, but shorten it down into the elevator pitch. How does this Aerotherm move the heat pump water heater market forward?
Well, challenges are the simple things, having the CTA built in, having the ability to Bluetooth to this to be able to program it for a contractor. Fast and easy way to be able to do that as we got away from the dongle that we had on the previous model. Being able to have the venting on the top means that the clearances can be less, and this is a 100% serviceable heat pump water heater, including the sealed system. We walk contractors through that, so the more space you have around it, the easier that's going to be. But you're also going to see a new design to how the top of this water heater is put together, which makes it very flexible in what you need to take apart just for service. Whether you need to take just the front part off, half of the top off, all of the top off. The goal would be, of course, if they provide enough space that you never have to move a heat pump water heater for service, but service is going to have to be done. At some point in time, you got to be able to not cover those screws up and to be able to have access to it. So we tried to make that very flexible.
That's great. That repairability is key. Okay, so a couple questions. Kara's wondering, I think this is on one of the slides, but remind us again, what's the operating decibel dBA?
It's not on the slide.
Okay, sorry.
We're near tier 4, less than 50. Now, why do I do that? Why do I say that? I said this for the last update that we made as well, because dBA ratings on heat pump water heaters don't mean a heck of a whole lot. That's what it comes down to. Anybody can stand in front of a water heater running, and it's one person will say this is louder than this one, and they may be identical in the dBA rating. It's not exact science when it comes to recording the sound of a water heater in an environment that has concrete floors or maybe a concrete wall. And what one person hears with the human ear, and as I teach on this all the time, it's got to be 3 decibels or more before you can even tell that there is a difference. So I don't know that we want to be in the game of trying to figure out who says they have the quietest number and then have contractors say, well, yours sounds quieter than everybody else's, even though the number is higher. So I'm not sure if we're going to even release how low this goes. I can tell you I've got them both in my house, the old model and the new model. It's quieter.
Nice. Okay. Jim's asking this question. What about what's Bradford White's thinking on the 120 volt option? I know you've chatted a bit about this, but update the group. What's your thinking on the 120 volt?
Yeah, 120 volt heat pump water heaters. This Bradford White's position is we're going to sell whatever the market bears and whatever the market wants to see. So we'll produce products that are actually being sold. But 120 volt heaters still seem to me to be a little bit of a risk if they're not properly applied in an installation. We do all deal with the challenges of contractors that don't read the instructions, don't check the charts and the graphs to know. And that really is kind of where we are. We're going to look and see how this market is playing out with all of the others that have put 120 volt models out there for right now, and see what stays in the house. Are they staying in? Are they being removed? Are they being satisfactorily taken care of? And are they writing good things about that? Now, somebody put in there, does Bradford White recommend a mixing valve? Mixing valves help primarily when you're looking at the markets where gas conversion is in play. And that's changing right now. We're seeing the world change, that half of American homes have electric water heaters. That's what these were designed for. The fact that they are used for gas was not something that was even thought of when I was at GE at that time. So you need a mixing valve if you're trying to overcome the speed of a gas recovery. You don't necessarily need a mixing valve in a house that already has a 50, 65, or 80-gallon electric water heater that a family's been using for 15 years and are perfectly satisfied. Unless somebody didn't size it right, or unless something has changed in the house where you need to jack the temperature up and you want to make sure the delivery is safe. Mixing valves in showers already do that, but mixing valves on a water heater just make that a double safety to be able to crank it up to a higher temperature and make it act like a larger water heater.
That's great. Yeah, thanks. And we see from the latest sales that those electric resistance sales are growing. So even more homes for a heat pump water heater to go to. That's great, Greg. Thank you so much. That's perfect. So we're let's invite Dan and Austin to come back on screen as well, and we can do some chat with the three of you. Thank you all for your fantastic presentation. I'm going to stop sharing a screen and make sure we're all visible. Great. So I guess first question for you all that folks might be really interested in are, when and where are your products? Are these new exciting products going to be available? So why don't we start, Greg? Why don't you start with you, and then we'll go Austin, then Dan.
We're looking at the end of second quarter, first to third quarter, and it'll be through all of our normal distributors across the country that sell wholesale.
Okay, that's great. Thanks so much. Over to you, Austin. You said a little bit in your presentation, but yeah, highlight that a little bit.
Yeah, we are taking orders right now. They are available for order. You can get them through Nile Water Heating Systems distribution around the country. So the reps that rep Nile, or if you're Northern California, you'd come to us.
Okay, and the first installations I think you mentioned are the first products being shipped this summer. Is that what you had mentioned?
Yep, the first 9 are going out the door, and then we expect another 10 or so to close before September.
Great, and then over to you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you. So ours should be available commercially here as we hit Q2 as well. So we're getting ready to ramp up and get into production right now. So it's we build, we stock, and then we've got them available. Where you can find them is, we also deal in the wholesale channel, so you can find them there. We've also got other areas that you have access as well, some of our retail partners too.
Great. And folks, feel free, if you want to ask a question to all or one of our panelists, feel free to raise your hand or put your questions in the chat. Jeff is he's talking about I think a little bit at the demand response and being able to talk to us about each of your products with demand response and whether they're able to heat water hotter for times and then coast through those peak loads to make use of lower electric rates. So Austin, why don't we start with you first, and then Dan, then Greg.
Yep, certainly. So we are more than capable of doing that. That could all be done remotely. We could explore it case by case. We're not releasing it right now with the ability to, what I'm trying to say here is that in California, we have time of use from 4 to 9. Load shifting beyond that, sure, we could. But if you want to look at it from a case by case basis, we can do that. We're not, if you wanted CTA 2045, we could put it on there. It's, but from my understanding right now, after listening to these calls for several years, it doesn't appear as though there's much going on with forcing demand response. But we stand ready to, put it on there if needed.
Okay. Dan, over to you.
Yeah, from a GE perspective, we've got options when it comes to demand response. One easy option is we've got a time of use feature built into the app. It's a very simple way to operate it. You simply put in your zip code, select your utility provider, select the plan that you're on, and it downloads directly into the water heater itself. The other option, obviously, we've got the CTA module on our product, so you can have control that way. And there's also direct communication that's available as well through our Smart HQ for utility companies and those sort of things. So we got a variety of options around that. Hopefully, everybody kind of picked up on the importance of the mixing valve that we've got in there, that you could actually load this water heater up to have excess capacity in those off-peak time periods, so that during peak periods, the water heater never even has to turn on to even try to catch up with anything. So.
Great.
I continue to be a little amazed that this question always does come up, because heat pump water heaters only use about 550 watts of power when they run. So load shedding doesn't have a whole lot of impact on the grid when you're turning off the highest efficient product that's in the entire house. And then you take into account the question of everybody wants to load them up. And I'm thinking, let's see, they put mixing valves on them in California, Vermont, and other states. And every contractor that has a mixing valve on it, what does he do? He cranks it all the way up to 140 degrees. So where do you go for load up from there on most of the products that are in this industry? That opportunity, again, is about this big. So yes, can you load control mine? Absolutely. It's CTA 2045, JA 13, but that really shouldn't be the focus of where we go. The focus should still be to get, a few million of these products in American homes and watch what that does to the grid, because chasing this thing just doesn't always make sense.
That's good cautionary tale there, Greg, especially with those mechanical mixing valves and cranking them up. Gary Klein is bringing up a good point here, just the need for access to maintenance and service, if there is one. I know y'all have been highlighting this, but let's just spend a moment chatting about it. Talk to us about how your product helps assist with this, with a challenge that's been recognized and being able to maintain these in the field. I know you all have said a little bit, but speak a little bit more in depth. How can you maintain your product when there's any sort of problem in the field? And Greg, we'll start with you on this one.
We're open 24/7. We teach contractors to call us even before they go out. We teach them to use our For the Pro app on their phone to be able to get assistance directly from that if they need to watch something before they go through the training material again. But we literally walk them through and provide the parts. So it makes it very easy for us to stay in touch with that plumbing professional.
Great. Yeah, thanks. And let's go to Austin. Let's go to you next.
Yep, certainly. So by decoupling the heat pump from the thermal batteries on our system, we are thereby protecting the heat pump from a lot of errors that occur, scaling and fouling of the condenser within the heat pump. And that way, we have exposed to the open loop side the batteries themselves. That's why we've gone ahead and we've fixed those multi-purpose service valves to each one of the connection points of the batteries. So that you could easily flush the open loop side. The water quality across California, and I'm sure, of course, the rest of the United States varies from region to region. The maintenance that we would encourage, along with regular maintenance of the heat pump water heater, would be to just flush the open loop side to reduce any risk of scaling or fouling on the open loop side.
Great, Dan.
From a GE side, we built our product with serviceability in mind, right? Whether you're talking about the refrigerant system or you're talking about, tracking things down from, let's say there is a fault code that happens, we display that on the product, we display that on the app. It's all about that open communication on what it is that you need to service. And similar to what Greg was saying with our products, we've got that capability with that Smart HQ app that we could connect into the product and see and understand what's going on with the unit itself. So we've got all those different capabilities. Even with, and I'm glad Austin brought up the water conditions, right? And that's, none of us can control the water conditions wherever you're at, but we've also got some technology built into our mixing valve so that we prevent buildup on the sealed surfaces inside that mixing valve, because we know that's a pain point with the aftermarket mixing valves out there today.
So as we're closing down our session, talk to us about, and Dan, we'll start with you on this one. We've heard this in various ways throughout each of your great presentations. We're 15 years into the heat pump water heater, heat pump water heater's history, and there have been some pain points, and each of your products is trying to address those pain points. So maybe pick out 2 pain points that your product has responded to. And so Dan, why don't we start with you? What were the top 2 pain points that y'all wanted to address when designing this new GeoSpring?
Yeah, probably top of the list is got to be the 120 volt convertibility. And look, we know the 120 volt is not, big demand at this point, but it's the next push. So we wanted to make sure that when we came out with our 120 volt, that we had a good experience, right? None of us want those products to give a bad experience to any installer that's out there. So having that option to convert that to 240 is really a key thing, because you avoid those kind of issues if there's a problem with perceived capacity of, the 120 volt keeping up with things out there, right? The other thing is the serviceability side. That's probably my top 2. just because, service is key of mind. We want to make sure that you put a product in and it stays in the home for a long time, whether it needs work or not need work. So it's probably my top two.
Great. Austin, how about over to you?
Yep. There was a study done at the PG&E San Ramon lab that exposed that return to primary systems were the most efficient central heat pump water heating systems that you could do for a commercial setting. And also taking a look at the various, how a system COP tanks when you go and include a swing tank, because you're maintaining your recirc losses with electric resistance rather than a heat pump. We wanted to bring a product to market that not only addressed the new construction, but also the existing building stock that is all over the place. What the retrofitting a building with heat pump water heaters, while it's possible, it's quite a pain. We wanted to reduce complexity, decrease install time, and reduce footprint, and that's the inspiration for the product.
Fantastic. And Greg, how about you?
Well, obviously, we had some ground to make up when it comes to our efficiency. Our UEFs were the bottom of the industry at that point, still very respectable. And we leapt ahead of everybody except Dan at GE. He had to pop my bubble at AHR. So, yeah, that's okay. I still tip my hat to you for that, brother. But being able to increase the efficiency, just really was a big jump for us to be able to do that. Also trying to, again, make it available with all of the air exchanges taking place on top. I understand the complexities of not having that in the top and having to twist and turn and bounce air and do things with a rear exhaust system that I've dealt with for many, many years. And as a result of moving things to the top, we've simplified that installation. The electronics as well, making this very simple for a contractor, for a homeowner to be able to navigate, because everything that I've seen with my 15 years of doing this is simple is what sells, and it's what contractors appreciate. If they can't figure it out, we know they don't read books. If they can't figure it out, punching a couple of buttons, they get frustrated. So we think we've really hit the nail on the head with this.
Thanks. That's great. Well, thanks for those great responses. Thank you, all three of you, for those fantastic answers. There's a couple other comments in the chat if y'all could look at those, but we'll have to leave it here because we are coming up on time. Let me just load our slides here for the final couple takeaways, and then we'll let you all go. But yeah, so it's huge thanks to Greg, to Dan, and to Austin for being on today. Check out these products. They're really exciting. We'll send out all slides and recording afterwards. And of course, join us at the advancedwaterheatinginitiative.org. See which working group you'd like to be part of and how you want to get engaged in market transformation. Thanks so much, Greg, Dan, Austin, everybody for being here. We'll catch y'all at the next one.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks, everyone.